Hello, radio control fans. Welcome back to my basement workshop again. And today we're going to talk about setting up the launch mode for this big 3-meter Fox glider. And this will work with any glider that has flaps and flap settings. So what the idea here is that when you're trying to launch this by yourself and you're holding it up in one hand and you advance the throttle to full throttle and give it a throw, you want this model to climb out at a reasonable angle of attack and give you time to get on the controls so that you can start to work the elevators and ailerons. I did this because I tried this with a fellow that wasn't used to gliders, and he really messed it up. He didn't give it enough up elevator. I've done this with this thing in this launch mode, and it works just fine. So if you have a glider like this and you're worried about maybe, I don't know, dropping your transmitter or not being able to get to the elevators in time to start the thing climbing out, this might help you. And what we're going to do here is use the flap setting. So what I've got are 3 flap settings: flaps up, launch mode, and full flaps. And launch mode is going to be partial flaps and a little bit of up elevator mixed in. So I'm going to go over to the transmitter and put the camera on it and show you how I set it up for this model, and then very quickly demonstrate what it does to the controls. So here's the main screen of the NX8 on the flap system menu. And the way I have this set up is kind of counterintuitive. Minus 100% is flaps up. I could have reversed the flaps servos, but I didn't. So that's actually position 2 is flaps up. Position 0 is flaps down, and position 1 is launch mode. So that's a 20 percentage point difference between 100 and 80. So that is 20 degrees flaps, and I have elevator set at minus 16, which is actually elevator up. That raises the nose. Yeah, no, it's backwards, but I can't reverse the elevator without screwing up the controls, so we'll have to put up with that. And then position 0, 0 flaps, 0 elevator, and 0 crow is flaps down, full down, and no elevator correction. So to launch the airplane, we're going to start with flaps up. We're going to, before we launch, we're going to go to launch mode, which is actually 20 degrees of flaps and 16% up elevator, which you will see in a minute is not that much. And then once we get ready to land, we'll go to flaps down, which is 100% flaps and no elevator correction, which works actually pretty well with this particular glider. Now, some gliders are going to, when you put the flaps full down, they're going to want to nose up. This one is just fine with no elevator correction. It does slow down a lot, and at some point I might want to put some down elevator into that full flaps mix. But so far, it has flown just fine like this. So when we go to this launch mode, position 1, I can throw this airplane into the air with my left hand. I am left-handed, and be assured that as long as I'm launching into the wind, that it's going to start to climb out almost immediately as it picks up speed. So let's go look at what the control surface deflections are as we flip these switches. Okay, so I've got the model in AS3X mode, and the flaps are up. When I put it into launch mode A, you'll see the flaps come down and a slight bit of up elevator.
Landing flaps.
That's landing flaps. Full flaps and no elevator input.
Flaps up.
Flaps up, flaps all the way up, and again, no elevator input. And I just turn the volume down so that I don't get some of the telemetry. And again, I have found that this works really well to hold this model high over my head, full throttle with my right hand, and I'm left-handed, so I am launching it with my left hand, and give it a good throw, and it takes off and starts climbing, at least as long as I throw it into the wind. You would not try this with a downwind takeoff ever. You need either, you don't want any tailwind. You want some, if possible, headwind or a crosswind launch. But you don't want to throw it downwind. It is not going to like that at all. So again, full flaps, launch mode, and flaps up. And it flies pretty well, just like this, with no trim whatsoever on the ailerons or the elevator. Well, I hadn't originally intended to do this, but today was such a beautiful day, and the wife had been watching me do this project, and she said, if you would like to, we'll go out to the local high school and try videoing you launch the airplane. Oh, you launch it and I'll video. And I said, wow, that's an offer I can't refuse. She's never offered to do that before. So we went to the local football field, or actually it's a soccer field, but the place we're flying is some vacant land next to it. And we launched, or I launched the airplane, and she filmed it. And here's the results. This is actually the second attempt. The first one went well, but the video wasn't all that great. She needed a little practice, so we repeated it. And I did a little editing, and as you can see, with a very gentle push from me, the airplane took off nice and level, and actually didn't give it any up uh, pitch, just flat level. It took off, picked up some speed, and started to climb. I got out of the flaps, and then rather than bore you with all of the flying in between, I cut that out and show you the landing. Actually, because of where she was standing, I decided to land downwind, which made overshot just a little bit. But one of the reasons I went out here was this is a big, wide open field, and if this hadn't gone well, the airplane was definitely going to survive it. So here we go. Watch and enjoy. Thanks for watching this video. Goodbye. Okay, here we go. All right. Motor's on.